Hello and welcome to Reviews. As always, I'm Plume Noir, and I really wanted to do a whole video on this, but I can't. There's just no way I can open this book. Um, I thought about, as I've done in the past with some books, maybe put little post-it notes to cover things. You can't do it with this book. So I'm going to try and go through over this really quickly so that I don't spend as much time on Fearless. Okay, so this is Safe Sex. Although it is referred to in the indica, maybe if I can do this really carefully, because I can't even show the first page without getting immediately, it's just, it'll get, YouTube will not like it. So if I just go to the inside cover, it is referred to as just SFXX. Can't spell it. SFSX, safe sex. This is the book that was one of the last Vertigo books, the new Vertigo. There was the big stink made over Second Coming, which ended up going to another publisher. The third issue came out today. I've got all three. I haven't read them yet. That was like one of the only new Vertigo books I was interested in. Safe Sex was also announced in the beginning, and then it just kind of fell off the radar. It wasn't given a release date, and I'm sure, it was. I don't know if it was decided before Vertigo kind of, before Second Coming. But anyway, it ended up going to Image. And this is a weird book. To give you an idea of the premise, it takes place in San Francisco. And you know what what that place is like now. But it's in a world like ours. But the party, think like 1984, is ruling, and they've really come down hard on everyone, and basically you're not allowed to have sex without filling out paperwork, and part of the whole regime to clean things up and everything. And the book starts off in a basically like a sex party type thing. It's about sex workers, and it's very very graphic. They end up getting raided by the cops, and um, one of the main attractions ends up escaping with her boyfriend, whom she marries, and uh, he ends up having to get like a real job, and she's trying to get a job. And it's weird because they talk about how conservative the party is, and all it's basically a land of kink shaming. Given what the writer is written, I guess she's like an erotica or something, um, an erotica writer. But it's a conservative world. The party's very conservative, but there's a lot of advertisements talking about the feminist policies and everything being put in place. And there's different brands of feminism. There's a sex positive. There's the turfs and everything. So it's really weird. Oh, there comes JR. I have to kind of move him out of the way. Um, I'm really not quite sure where they're going with the world on that, because they talk about all this stuff about the let me move him out of the way. Feminist regime, but it's a 1984 Orwellian conservative party, and it's not really explained why sex is so outlawed, and why it's so you know um, frowned upon that you have to fill out paperwork. And how would they know anyway? It's the one guy wears a Fitbit, but it looks like that's more for submitting the paperwork after sex. And there's a purity score, and since this one woman used to be a sex worker, um, she has a low purity score, like a credit score, or like China's social score they have. Um, a very weird book. And when her husband ends up getting in trouble, um, she comes home, finds her place has been raided. She escapes, ends up putting a heel into a cop's eye, and ends up, going back to where the underground club where she used to work out of, where it's being rebuilt. What's interesting is she runs into some of her former friends and coworkers. One of them, and she blames her for the place getting raided for some reason that's doesn't make any sense. Um, I don't even want to say it's an interesting concept. It just leaves you with more questions. And yeah, it's definitely, I can't show anything. I really can't. Um, one thing one thing I did kind of like was, I think I show this page. I did double check it's safe. Is that they gave a playlist, a list of songs to to listen to while reading the book or afterward, and it's actually a pretty good list. It actually kind of, runs the gamut, and yeah, I gotta agree with the Prince and Bowie songs. Always nice to see Black Star getting recognition. Um, Cardi B, but yeah, you got some AC/DC, you got some Clash. That's actually kind of interesting. So, yeah, I can't show any of this. So I figured I did want to cover this. Um, as far as like the Vertigo books, this one is actually probably the least offensive of them, to be honest. As much as I can't show anything, um, it's not as insulting, but there's a lot of things in it that doesn't make sense. It seems like a really weird jump to be making in a 1984, but like it's like 1984, but sex is outlawed. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to continue getting this. I really want to see because, like I said, this was originally the new Vertigo. It was like the last one that was supposed to be released, and it fell off to the wayside. Not really sure. Not really sure how if I'm going to pick this up. How far I'm really willing to go in on it because the premise is a little bit of a stretch for me. So I'm going to go ahead and fill up the rest of the time with Fearless because I don't want to spend time on this book. It's funny because they talk about these are the women of Marvel. They're so tough. They're the fearless. But they really don't face much. The main story that's been going on, that's been the first half of each issue, the one with Invisible Woman, Captain Marvel, and Storm, they've just been kind of sitting around. They really haven't been doing much. They have no reason to be fearless. Um, so this one, finally something happens. As you know, they're at that campground, and Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan, has been sent there by her mom. Um, yeah, I, I, I read her first series, like the first like I don't know if I read 12 issues. I read the 6 issues. At least I know I read at least the first 6 issues, and I thought it wasn't bad. It was okay. But what she's become since then has been annoying. But her identity isn't public. I don't think it is. Um, so that'll come up a little bit later. So we have this giant ball thing that's beeping, and one of the counselors finds it. The woman running the place, and that's better. Too soon to get things started. Can't have this blinking all night. Of course, Miss Marvel's hanging out down there because she was trying to hide. She was investigating. And then we get to the next day, and the whole silly, you know, um, Carol Danvers still a bitch. I don't understand why Marvel write. They think they're writing her as like tough and funny, and of course there are some people who say, oh well, if you write a tough woman, people will see her as a bitch. No, she's just not likable. Um, why is there no coffee maker in here? Earth has mornings. Mornings mean coffee. And Invisible Woman comes up, yes, coffee, now. I have children. Mornings are not the only time I need coffee. I got this from the cafeteria. Mine. So yeah, she's, don't tease me before caffeine. She's just not. I don't know if they're trying to make her funny, but she's not. And she comes off really poorly during this. So they have to give their keynote speeches in a bit, but each of the three groups of campers, they're in different disciplines, are going to do their presentations. So Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel, Storm, and Invisible Woman are going to sit there and watch. watch the presentations. And 3 hours later, Captain Marvel, there she is, too cool for school, right? She's fallen asleep. At least Storm is paying attention. Yeah, you got the silly Storm. Makes her own mornings. Yeah. It turns out that this device that this one girl, that with the color changing things, she built out of scraps that she found in a cave. No, she found in a junkyard. It's an alien signal. So, that gets Captain Marvel's attention, and they end up, because Captain Marvel touched it, she ended up accidentally activating it. But if you remember, Kamala saw that they turned it on and turned it off, and then that's when the frog aliens show up. Yeah, eggs fall down to the planet like Mork from Ork, and we get these aliens that jump out that look like frogs and have guns that mean you don't need to draw the backgrounds if they're in two pieces. Okay. I'm not sure if this is supposed to be a rip on Pepe or anything, or whatever. You have Invisible Woman, you have Storm, you have Captain Marvel. This should be like really, really quick. So I'm just gonna skip through it. The battle. They fight frogs. They fight space frogs with guns. Who knows? Maybe that's a rip on Cyber Frog by Uncle Ethan. I don't know. It just seems a little too weird um, to be a coincidence, So of course, after the girls, the women, I'm sorry, stop this. The girls of the camp find guns to scavenge. So yeah, after they call down the aliens with scavenged parts. Sorry, I'm trying to get JR out of here. He's fighting me. I think that was his head he just hit. Yeah, that's a good idea. Let's just gather more alien technology that these people have been stealing. And so they have to do the cleanup. And yeah, here's Miss Marvel just helping with the cleanup. And this is why I asked, does she have a secret identity anymore? She's supposed to be there as a camper, but here she is just parading around, helping clean up, using her powers, so who knows? Then we get the little talk. The girl who caused all this, who built the device, caused the aliens to come down, she's getting a pep talk from Captain Bitch herself, which, of course, is not going very well. And then when they get back, the headmistress is, talking about getting the speeches going again, the presentations that the heroes are supposed to do, and heroes are fearless because they choose to be. No one's forcing them. Why can't we do the same? And then that's when Miss Marvel, pipes up with, "No one's forcing you to use the campers as bait either, but here you are." Gasp. To be concluded. Yeah, this is a 4-issue series. I don't know why I was thinking it was 3 issues. So yeah, here's where Miss Marvel's part comes in, because she saw her, turn the device off, and yeah. So now we go into a Hellcat series, Hellcat story, which is by, I have to show you, Zoe Quinn. You know it's a Zoe Quinn story because it starts off with women texting one another. Now, granted, this is not as bad as Goddess Mode, where they were all identified by their little symbols, and it got to the point where you had no idea who was talking to who. So yeah, it's Jen, of course, you see this green arm, it's She-Hulk, and she's trying to text Patsy Walker, who apparently was starting fires. Basically was an arsonist. Now, if you notice, Patsy's on fire. Her little tails are on fire. You see it going through here. That's important. Well, while this is going on, being reported in the news, Hellcat, friend or foe, was she an arsonist? Jen believed that this was actually Hellcat, but Hellcat actually slept in. She was at a book signing, so the night before she has an alibi. Um, Jen's trying to defend her because this the guy that she apprehended wants to sue, and there's all the damage. And then Jessica Jones pops in. So basically, the story is Patsy Walker is being framed. There's someone who's pretending to be her, who's actually pretending to be Hellcat, but it turns out is actually pretending to be Patsy Walker. It's a little confusing at first. The dialogue is bad. It tries to be funny, and it's stupid. Um, you know, okay, let's go catch my cheap knockoff. Fine by me, but maybe don't go to the scene of a crime dressed like the lead suspect. Oh, right. Whoops. Yeah, remember when Patsy used to be smart? Yeah. Why couldn't Mariko Tamaki or Zoe Quinn get that part of her right? Yeah. So they're investigating the clues, but since Patsy's there as herself, she's a celebrity, she's signing autographs, and she realizes that what caused the fire that should not have spread as much as it did was magic. Okay, fine, whatever. And Hellstorm, I just call him Hellstorm. Hellstrom shows up. By the way, he grew his hair back. Remember how his head was bald in Avengers? He's coming after Hellcat too. Well, in case you don't know, he is actually Patsy Walker's ex-husband. So yeah, it's kind of funny. Patsy Walker, who was a kind of like a model character, like think like Millie the model back in the early days. They end up taking her and making her Hellcat, married to a son of Satan. Kind of a weird twist on that. So anyway, we get the fight. Um, as Damien is trying to apprehend Hellcat, but then Firetail Hellcat shows up, and oh boy, this is how stupid people are. Damien says, "Huh? Wait, which one of you is real?" Hellcat's like, "Seriously?" Now, once you learn the twist, that's what makes us even dumber. That Damien could not figure out which one was real. Especially when, if you're looking at the footage, why, with the footage that the Daily Bugle had, where it had her tail things on fire, um, why isn't anyone noticing that? So yeah, they have their little fight, and Patsy blows out her tail fire. So, I'll give Patsy credit. She was in hell. She got out of it. She knows some tricks about hell. And then it turns into big affirmation because it turns out this fake Hellcat is literally a cat from hell. Or at least a demon that looks like a cat. So that's what Damien came up from hell to Earth, was to retrieve his demon, who was taking the form of Patsy Walker / Hellcat. He wasn't there for the real Patsy Walker. Okay, fine. We find out that this demon loved Patsy Walker, grew up to be a big fan, then found out she was Hellcat, and since this demon is not a good demon, thought it would try to be a hero. She would try to be a hero, and came to Earth and imitated Hellcat. It's when you start phrasing it, it's a lot dumber than it sounds, and that's why you copied me, isn't it? You knew I got out and thought you could do the same, right? Actually, I'm just a really huge fan. And then the fur blushes. Yeah. So she explains that she got out of hell, tried to be Hellcat, but wasn't good at being a hero because it caused more damage than than she helped. And long story short, they won't let Damien take the demon back to hell, so Patsy adopts the demon. But now, remember, Hellcat is accused of all this stuff, the arson and everything. So what does she do? Well, she basically writes out checks and pays for the bills, and helps clean up everything. Um, Accidental Arsonist AIDS Apartment Association. Sometimes it's clean up a mess that you didn't make just because it needs cleaning. Which is funny because this demon actually made a mess of Hellcat's life, both her personal life and her superhero life. She got her basically accused of arson, ended up impersonating her as Patsy, and firing all her employees. So, yeah, whatever. So then they try and have the demon come up with a new identity. Ghost Cat, aka Kate Necromata, a little demon, just trying to get by in the big city. Please, God, don't tell me that Marvel is going to give us a Hellcat and Ghost Cat series. God, please, no. She even has the little cat ears, because it's Zoe effing Quinn. And it's stupid. It's actually not the worst Zoe Quinn story I've ever read. Oh, wait, she's only ever done Goddess Mode, right? Yeah, so this is actually the second worst thing I've ever read of hers. And then the last couple pages is a Jubilee story, which is done by Alyssa Wong. Huh. Is this that whole thing where, like, Christopher Priest was, they only wanted him to write Black Panther? Is that? I'm not even gonna go over the Jubilee story. It's kind of dumb. Um, yeah, this. Oh my God, I don't know what they're going for with this. Um, I the Fearless, and it's just all women creators writing women creators writing characters, and twisting my tongue over this here. Um, and they're not really fearless. It's they're solving threats that anyone can handle. It's usually the middle story is usually the best one in the book, and then they put in that 3-page story, and then like bio of creators, which isn't bad. This I'm okay with. But either get rid of this and make the 3-page story a 6-page story, or do bios on the other people in the book. You have all these names. Get rid of the 3-page story and talk about some of these other people. Talk about the variant cover artist, Jenny Friesen. I don't know, is that which artist this is? Um, talk about who are these special thanks people that have been in the past few issues. Talk about some of them. Talk about Cardinal Ray, which is a weird name, but it's kind of cool. Yeah, what is a letter? Dude, that kind of thing. Talk about the other people. Talk about Claire Rowe. But this is the second to last issue, and so good on them. So how would I rate these books? What rating would I give them? Um, SFSX, SFSX, which sounds like, yeah, Safe Sex, I would give this one, the art's actually not too great either. God, is there anything I could show? Okay, this page is safe. This is just before the husband of the main character, who we don't find her name until, like, I think midway through the book. Here comes JR. Here's where he ends up on the wrong floor of the building, and here's something going on, and yeah, he ends up getting disappeared, basically. He's arrested. So the art it's okay. It's probably the only 2 pages in a row I could show. Yeah, what would I give this? I would probably go on a 4 o'clock on it. The art's serviceable. Just the storyline doesn't make a lot of sense. It's basically a 1984, sex workers were coming to get you type thing. It's only focused on the sex workers. I kind of want to know. I want to know more of the world. What else is being policed? Yes, this is from the view of a sex worker, so that's going to be the focus. But What about the day laborers? What about the comedians? Um, what about the Bill Hicks of the world? You know, I know Bill Hicks has been dead for 25 years, but you know, whoever would be like the equivalent of Bill Hicks, who can no longer speak freely. Um, so yeah, at 4 o'clock, because if we knew a little bit more of the world, I'd be a little bit more interested. Here comes JR, just gotta push him out of the way. Fearless, with this one, at 3 o'clock. At 3 o'clock, it's not particularly bad. Sorry, I'm still wrestling with him. It's it's just blah. It's uninteresting. You know, it's kind of stupid. Um, the last 6 pages of the book are wasted. Um, and like I said, this actually has Zoe Quinn's second worst story in it that she's ever done. So that's a positive. Good on her. Good on her on that. All right, well, thanks for watching. Tomorrow I am working a double. You know, I do that a few times a month, so I might be able to get away into the lab and do a video. A lot of stuff came in this week. I got the Harleen book. That's 2 books that came out this month that are kind of like different Harley Quinn origins, and I haven't touched the other one yet. I bought that. It may do its own separate review. It's been hard to get through that one. It's kind of a thick book, so. And then the Harleen that just came out, I haven't read that yet. So, as always, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.